And welcome to the North Dakota Bureau of Criminal Investigations non-criminal agency criminal history record agency training. It's a mouthful, but thank you all for making this a priority and joining us today. My name is Rebecca Dubin, and I am the criminal history record supervisor with GCI. We are coming to you live from the DHHS training room. Last I checked, there are 80 participants attending online and in person. This is one of two trainings. The next training will be held next Tuesday, July 15th. It was originally scheduled as an in-person and online training. However, we had some scheduling conflicts, so it is now all virtual. If you do know someone that would benefit from the training or possibly miss today's training, I encourage you to have them contact me and I will get them all set up. A few housekeeping items before we begin. So for those participants attending in person, there is some coffee, water, and some light snacks in the back of the room, so please help yourself. Bathrooms and a water fountain are through the training room door. The room does tend to fluctuate in temperature, so if you do get cold at any point in time this afternoon, please let me know and we will adjust the room temp accordingly. There's going to be a lot of information thrown at you today, so we will make sure to offer you multiple breaks to use the restroom, get up and stretch, or just ask questions. Ask any one of us questions. We understand that you do have obligations outside of the training, so if you do need to take a call, we ask that you step outside the room so we do not distract others. Jesse Kershaw, our AV supervisor, will be monitoring the chat for those of you online. So if you do have a question, please feel free to raise your hand or throw your question in the chat box. Should all have the capability to come off of mute, so please remember to mute yourself after speaking so that we don't get any background noise or distract others. We will be recording the training and providing it after next week's second training session is done. We will also provide this presentation and the updated non-criminal justice CHR training manual at that time. So look for that. An email will go out to all of you. And then finally, we hope to have you out of here by 4:30. Hopefully the technical delays did not hang us up too much. So we'll get started. Okay, a little bit more about me. My name is Rebecca Dubin, as I said. I've been with the Bureau for 1.5 years now. Prior to that, I spent 22 years working primarily in state government with roles at Career and Technical Education, the North Dakota University System, and the Department of Public Instruction. I also spent 6 years with the North Dakota School Boards Association as their Director of Policy Services. My career has been primarily rooted in education. So coming to the stepping into the criminal justice world was a completely new experience for me. Luckily, it has been a wonderful transition and one that I'm very happy I made. I guess what they say is you're never too old to learn something new, right? All right, so in addition to hearing from me today, you will also hear from a couple of our other GCI staff members. Each presenter brings valuable knowledge and expertise to help guide you through the various aspects of our CHR process. First, we'll hear from Jeannie Vetter. Jeannie is an information security officer in our compliance division. Today, she ensures both our office and external agencies are handling fingerprint-based record checks, remain in compliance with state and federal laws. She'll be leading the section on compliance, security, and audit. Next up, we have Carrie Krein. She's a CHR specialist and has been with BCI since 2010. Carrie's one of my 18 members. One of my 18 members in the CHR department or division. She updates arrest records, processes CHR applications, among other responsibilities. Many of you likely had your initial training, agency training with Carrie. Carrie will be assisting with the CHR process overview and explaining how to interpret the criminal history record results. And then finally, we'll be joined by Paul Geisberg, who recently stepped in a new role as a criminal intelligence analyst. Paul will wrap up the session by walking through the fingerprint process, whether it's done by ink or through your scan. If your agency does not handle fingerprinting or uses a third party, you are welcome to leave at this point, but we do encourage you to stay as the information can still be valuable. Right. So today we are honored to have one of our 3 chief agents, Steve Harstead, with us today. Steve oversees several key units at BCI, including our criminal records section and the ABIS unit, which handles fingerprint processing. We appreciate him taking the time to join us today and kick things off with a brief welcome. Thank you, Steve, for being here.
Of all the people in this room that know the least about non-criminal justice record checks, I'm probably right there. So I could probably sit through the training too. That wouldn't be a bad thing. The criminal records department was something, honestly, I was working through as an agent. I didn't know a whole lot about. It took time for me to become a chief agent and realize that there's a lot more to BCI than investigations and those types of things. And I hesitate to put anything as this is the most important thing or this is the best thing that BCI does or any of those things. But criminal history records is definitely the foundation of our work. Without it, we're not utilizing our data as well as we should be. So it truly is the most important thing we do in the long run because it is that foundation, and there's no 2 ways about it. What you have in front of you for the rest of the afternoon is probably the most experience that we've ever seen in our agency. These guys have been around a long time, doing this a long time, and the knowledge that is in this room is pretty impressive. And so, except for Jeannie, you'll know with Jeannie that her mouth gets in the way quite a bit. We have a love-hate relationship. We love to hate each other.
Still know more about this thing.
True. We want to make it fun. We want to make it as interesting as possible, and we want you to be able to get the information that you need to be able to handle your record checks on your end. So these are the folks that can give you that. Ask questions, participate, and you couldn't be here with anything that not answered. And then if down the road things come up, you'll absolutely know who to contact to get that information. These folks know what they're doing and they're very, very good at it. So beyond that, just thanks for coming. Thanks for being part of this. Please give us as much feedback as possible. Anything we can do better, anything we can do more of. We're here, that's what BCI is for. We're here to serve the people here of the state of North Dakota and assist with anything we can. And so that's important to us. So that is what my message to everybody. These guys are here. The knowledge is here. Please use it. Please ask them questions and make sure that we're meeting the needs that you have out there. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. All right, so who is attending today? Today's training includes participation from agencies and entities across the state that are authorized to conduct fingerprint-based record checks for a certain purpose. This group represents a diverse range of organizations, including state agencies and licensing boards, public schools, special education units, career and technical education centers, School for the Blind, School for the Deaf, and as well as state colleges and universities. Altogether, BCI supports nearly 300 agencies and entities across the state each year. So let's take a moment to think about why we are here. Criminal history record checks may seem routine, but they play a crucial role in protecting vulnerable populations, ensuring safety in our schools and communities, securing sensitive positions and information, and then maintaining public trust. Under state and federal law, your agency has the authority and the responsibility to request fingerprint-based record checks. But with that authority comes a process that must be followed carefully to stay compliant. Over the course of the afternoon, we'll equip you with everything you need to know, what forms to submit and how, what the responses mean, what your agency needs to do before and after the results come in, how to remain in compliance with laws and protect criminal history information, and of course, how to properly roll fingerprints. By the end of today's session, you'll not only understand the process better, but you'll be confident in your role as a gatekeeper of this critical information. So throughout the presentation, we will be referring to the Non-Criminal Justice Agency Guide and other resources. These resources will help equip you with the necessary information to ensure a smooth criminal history record check process. We are working on updating the manual. We will email that updated version along, like I said, with the recording and presentation to you at a later date. This will also be available, all this information will also be available on the CJIS Launchpad, which I will show you next. So how many of you are familiar with the CJIS Launchpad? You use it, that's great. So to access it, we would need to go to the address on the screen. For those of you who may not be familiar, CJIS stands for Criminal Justice Information System. The CJIS Launchpad is a very valuable resource that includes resources for audit guidance and documentation, criminal justice training materials, various forms and templates, appendices. So as stated, we will be referring to several of these documents throughout the training. So we highly recommend bookmarking this page for future reference. Also, if there is anything that you feel would be beneficial for us to include on the CJIS Launchpad, please let us know and we will look at getting that added. So I'm a strong believer in continuous growth and learning. One question I constantly ask myself is, how can we improve the CHR process? Make it more efficient, more accurate, and ultimately better for everyone involved. That not only includes our partner agencies and the public, but also our BCI staff. That's one of the key reasons we brought you all together today, actually. We want to ensure you have the tools, the knowledge, and guidance to do the things confidently and correctly. But today isn't just about us sharing information with you. We also want to hear from you, your questions, your concerns, and the things that are working well in your agency. Your feedback and experience can help others in this room too. So throughout the day, please don't hesitate to stop any one of us if you need clarification or you have a helpful tip to share. We want this to be a relaxed, interactive session, so not just a one-way presentation. Your participation is what makes this training all the more valuable. So, the authority for receiving state and federal record checks can be found in Public Law 92544, which allows the FBI to exchange identification records with BCI for purposes of licensing and employment when authorized by state statute. The state statute that allows BCI to provide each agency official or entity listed in North Dakota Century Code, or is North Dakota Century Code 126024. Under subsection 2 of 126024, agencies are authorized to request a state and nationwide criminal history record check for the specific purpose outlined in law. The purpose should be found in 126024 as well as your agency's specific section of code. So one acronym you'll hear frequently is CRI, or Criminal History Record Check Information. This refers specifically to the actual criminal history record results obtained for the individual on whom you're requesting a record check. In short, CRI is the results. It's important to note that CRI is not the same as the criminal history record request forms, the application materials, or the licensee package you submit to our office. This sensitive data is protected under PII, or personally identifiable information regulations, as well as other applicable privacy rules. Please be sure to review your local policy and state policies to understand what information can be shared and with whom to ensure you are following, you are in compliance. So background checks versus record checks. What is a background check? Background checks are conducted to help verify an individual's identity and confirm that they are who they claim to be. These checks can include a wide range of information depending on the purpose of the inquiry and the agency conducting it. Background checks may be used to gather details about an applicant, an employee, or a licensee. The specific areas reviewed can vary from one organization to another. So common areas include personal history, employment, verification, criminal records, education, and more. So it's important to understand that a background check is different than a criminal history record check. A background check is a broad term that can include various types of information such as contact and personal details such as date of birth, marital status, occupation, property ownership and financial data, motor vehicle records and traffic citations, and potentially criminal history. A criminal history record check, on the other hand, is a specific type of background check that focuses solely on the individual's criminal history record. A criminal history record check is a search of confidential law enforcement databases and sometimes fingerprints. CRI also includes identification data such as a primary name, aliases, date of birth, and social security numbers, and addresses. This information helps us to confirm and positively match an individual when we are processing the record checks. In North Dakota, for a criminal history record or criminal record to appear in our state's central repository, the individual must have been arrested and fingerprinted. If there are no fingerprints, there is no record of this arrest in our system. The state criminal history record also includes data on individuals listed in the sex offender registry or the North Dakota Offenders Against Children registry. If the subject of a request is found on either of these registries, a notification letter will be included with the criminal history response. So here's just another further breakdown of what is and is not on a criminal history record. We will touch on it a little bit later in the presentation again. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeannie now so she can talk to you about the compliance requirements for CRI.
Anybody have any questions
So far?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
How common is it for there to not be fingerprints with an arrest?
More common than you think.
Yeah.
So when we're like reviewing results and everything, like there's good potential that something might not be in those results because there was no fingerprints.
That's why we do recommend that Agencies also use other resources like ND courts to verify, or to confirm or to monitor search.
Okay, anything else? No, no. Okay, so
How do we get login credentials?
there is no login credentials, it's an open site. So there's nothing you have to log into. Okay, so I am Jeannie Vetter, I am the Information Security Officer, so basically, I'm the rules person. Some of the compliance requirements before you can even receive CRY are listed, but we'll go through each one as we go on. So the first thing we need is a user agreement. That's basically going to be the contract that your agency would sign with us that says, we'll give you the information because you're following the rules and you've reached everything else. I don't think there's anybody in here that wouldn't have already, because most of your schools, housing, we're already processing them, so I don't think there's anybody in here that wouldn't already have this. But if your things were to change, like if you went to the legislature again, and Rebecca will go over that, there could be potential that we'd have to sign another one before you could get like new results. I think you can go to the next. Yeah. So on the base part of your user agreement, there's the purpose and the authority. So the authority, like Rebecca had gone over, is the North Dakota Century Code 126024 and the Public Law 92544. That should be listed in there. The purpose is who you can run them on. So the population. So some of you are licensures, some of you are teachers, bus drivers, some of you are any employee that you have working in your field. Those need to be listed on this user agreement. If you were to need a new user agreement, it is available on the Launchpad, or you could reach out to ECI Audits. You would send it to me, fill out the top portion. That's going to be your NAC, which we'll go over next. The newly completed purpose and authority, and you'd send it to us signed. We'd get our director to sign it. I'd send it back to you, let Rebecca know that everything is good to go, and the contract is ready. So the NAC is the Non-Criminal Justice Agency Contact. Basically, the main person that we are going to have to reach out to if something needs to be changed, we need to reach out to something, there's new forms, and is responsible for everything in the compliance list. They're the name listed at the top portion of that user agreement. If you're going to change the NAC, we need to know that. The NAC change form is Appendix J on the Launchpad. We just need to know constantly who's changing. I know schools, it's really difficult. This person goes out, this person goes in. We need to know that that person has changed because basically become null and void if we don't have that correct information. The NAC is responsible to make sure that we have a current authorized personnel list. That would be anybody that has the authority to have access to CRY. So that could be anybody that has actual access to CRY. Talked about, can look at, has access to the room where it's stored. The NAC is also the privacy and security coordinator. So they're the person that is going to make sure that all the safety, internet, room securities, all of those items are taken care of. They are required to make sure that all of the training requirements, there's 2 different trainings. The policy and procedure standards that you have for your agency, as well as the CJIS online security and awareness training. Every individual is required to sign an acknowledgement statement of misuse. That only needs to be done once per person. It's not an annual. If you choose to put that in your policy that you want them to sign it every year, that is up to you guys. But it is only required once, and you guys would maintain that in your facility, and it's just available upon request during an audit. And then the NAC is also responsible for the audit. Now, the NAC can delegate these things. So the NAC is responsible for the audit and should complete the audit, but they might not necessarily be the person that does all the CJIS online, make sure all the trainings get out, they can delegate that to someone. Submitting the paperwork and receiving the results can be delegated to somebody. So they don't have to be the only sole person that is doing these things, but they are the person who is ultimately going to be held accountable. So, yeah. I'm trying to see it up there. Yep, so the primary liaison, they're going to be the main person that would also reach out to us. So it's not necessarily the person that's receiving the results or sending the results. We're probably going to want to hear from the NAC if there's an issue or they need help with something specifically. They are obviously going to be the person we reach out to first because they are the main contact that we are going to have. And again, they can appoint. That was kind of the first page too. But so anytime the NAC changes, the authorized personnel changes, that information needs to be sent to PCI audits so that we can keep track of that. I don't need an updated training list, but I do go through when I get that authorized personnel list. I go through CJIS Online to make sure that everybody that's on that list has completed the training. But it is ultimately the NAC's responsibility to make sure that those people get entered and taken care of. So the authorized personnel list is, again, the people that have access to CRI. So that can be anybody. It can be just the NAC, but it could be 20 people. So like some schools let each individual school make the decision, but everything goes through a main office. So like Bismarck Public Schools, I think they handle all the hiring within, but they could say, oh, this principal at that school gets to decide who's hired and we'll let them see the results. Then that person needs to be on the list. The janitor staff that comes in and cleans the room, because it's in a secure room, but they have access to that room, they have to be trained and on that list. Any questions about that? I usually get a lot of questions about who can or cannot be on the list. Yeah.
I have a question just with board members who actually don't see the results, but they may, you know, if we have to bring something to the full board to review, because I have the authority to review first.
Yep.
If there's no issues or anything to bring to them, then they don't see it. But do they need to take that training and on that list, even though they don't necessarily see the CRI?
Well,
But
it's not visual. It's any access to it.
any access.
So if you go into the room and say, we just hired Tom Smith, or we want to hire Tom Smith, but Tom Smith has this on his record, are you guys okay with that? They need the training.
Perfect. Okay.
There are the hypotheticals though, like I always recommend boards and agencies to develop their hypotheticals. To say, would we hire a bus driver if this comes back? Would we hire, and then you have the scenarios to like, you don't have to say Tom Smith has this on his record, to say if somebody were to have this on their record, could we hire them? And then you already kind of have the breakdown. But if you're going to discuss it, if you're going to point out, and even if they don't have a record, is sharing a record. So like if you go to somebody and say, oh, hey, we can hire Tim Smith because everything came back clear, that's actually you guys telling people of their record. Because a no record is still a result. Sounds backwards, but it is.
Can you instead say that they've been reviewed and they're approved?
You can say they're approved.
Okay.
Or if there's other things that you're reviewing other than the criminal history, yes, their review process is complete and they are hireable, that's fine. If it's the only thing that you review, then you would just have to say they can or cannot be hired.
What about the forms that you require to get the results? Like your criminal history record check form. Can other people see that? Or is that
Like
for-
the application that would be sent to them, that would fall under the PI rules. So because it has their name, date of birth, and social security number, that's not CRI. So what we're concerned about is that result that comes back. But I mean, following PI, like not everybody should see everybody's name, date of birth, and social security, but yes, I mean, if everybody follows those particular rules, anybody can see those following your agency's policies.
For the question.
Okay.
Please clarify, if individuals are housed in the same office space but do not see or discuss fry, do they need to be on the authorized user list?
If they have actual access to the results, then yes. So if you, the individual, receive the results, print them, don't print them, whatever, they don't go any farther, no. But if you print them, file them, put them somewhere that they would have access to them or potentially hear you talking about somebody, then they need to be on that list.
We have to complete the training, but we're told in the past they did not need to be on the authorized user list. Okay.
It's a technicality. Do they have to be on the list? Not necessarily, but it's easier for everybody to keep track of who has or hasn't taken the training and needs the training if they're on that list. So if I get that list and I see more people have completed the training, that doesn't bother me. But if I see people on the list that haven't completed the training, then that's a problem. Does that help? Okay, back to Green.
Question for you. So we have our legal division within the department that we usually have our cases that we'll review for the insurance department. Are they exempt from this?
If they are seeing the result that we are giving back to you, they are absolutely required
So
to
if
do it.
they're writing up a denial based on
If
their
they're,
background?
if you're going to them and saying, hey, you need to deny this person, they're getting the information. So yes, they would need to, attorneys are not exempt from. Did you have?
Yeah, so small agency that doesn't have like a lot of recruitment going on, using the hypotheticals, a person can really deduce like who we're talking about. So is it recommended that if we want to get like the opinion of like a deputy director or something, that they go through the training? And
I recommend directors and deputy directors go through it anyway, because the odds are they're going to at some point be encountered somehow. But yes, with hypotheticals, yes,
you can basically like deduce who it is. You're like,
yeah.
oh, I
mean,
know
if
exactly who
It's
you're
the
talking
one person
about.
you hired in the last like 4 years. You were like, yeah, I'm not sure we can hire Tim. Like, okay, why? Yes. So I mean, if you have to go to them and tell them that you can't hire them, they should be taking the training.
And I mean, we'll tell hiring managers that we're no longer moving forward with this applicant, but we won't say like, it's because their background check came back.
Right.
Like, we don't have all the hiring managers go through the training or anything, but we just tell them we're no longer moving forward with this applicant.
Perfectly fine. Yep, as long as it's not the only thing that you look at. So if the hiring manager knows that the only thing that you guys look at for hiring is a criminal history, then you're telling them it's because of their criminal history. So if you do like a courts check and a DOT check and a social media check, and you just say, nope, we're not moving forward anymore, then we're not moving forward is a perfect response.
The IT personnel is the other one. Should also have,
Yeah, I guess I don't usually specify, just anybody with access. So yeah, I mean, you guys, if you are storing these electronically, you are actually getting them electronically, email, even though it's encrypted. Anybody who has access to it in its stored facility as well. So if you're storing it online, you're storing it on your hard drive, those IT personnel need to take the highest level of training, so.
Oh, wait, what about Outlook? Like when you get the results through Outlook?
Yep, so it's an encrypted email.
Yeah. And then I'm the only one that gets it, so.
Yep, and then you're
that's-
deleting.
Yeah.
And so that you're not printing them, you're not storing them on a hard drive for a while, or.
We print the results and we store those into a cabinet that's locked inside of an office that's also
No,
locked.
so if you're storing them electronically, whoever would, because like IT people
Okay.
usually have access to the behind the scene.
Okay. But as long as they're deleted and then the deleted is also deleted,
Yes,
then IT doesn't need to have.
correct. Well, we pretty much covered that.
so we talked about the supervisors and Specific training? Trainings that are required?
I guess I did. Okay. So there's two types of training. You guys have to review your policies and procedures annually, and then the CJIS online training is annual. Those also, I should say, Appendix M is a training document form. Those trainings should be documented in somehow. CJIS Online is documented within the system, and that can be printed and reviewed at any time. But under an audit, you just need to show that your personnel have taken your policies and procedures training as well.
Annually, okay.
This does not count for that. So people know, like this isn't completely once a year. So the statement of misuse is basically a statement that says that you are not going to misuse, mistreat, use the cry in any inappropriate way. And if you do, there are consequences. Agency consequences, probably loss of job. There are also potential criminal charges that can be posed against you if you do misuse the results. Hopefully that doesn't happen to anybody. So the other major aspect of the NAC is the fact that they will have to answer to the audit. I think we go more into audits later. Okay. But they are the ones who are going to receive the audit from me or have the sit down with me and go over everything, answer all the questions, just to make sure that everything is going the way it's supposed to. Audits aren't meant to be, let's get in trouble. They are, let's just make sure we're all on the same page doing everything correctly. Okay, so basic privacy and security. Oh, yeah.
Are those audits done by you? How often?
Once every 3 years, random. There's a random schedule that I have a system that I plug out.
Does, like, we had FBI come in and audit, is that qualifying for what you guys audit for?
Nope, the FBI will come in and audit random agencies. When the FBI comes in, they're actually auditing us through you. So I audit you guys to make sure that I pass my audit. So when they come and audit you guys to make sure that you're following all the things, that's to make sure that we're doing our job properly. The FBI comes in next fall. So we'll find out who gets selected for that. Did you go last one or, yeah?
How often do the FBI audit?
They come once every 3 years.
And they just do like a random list of
Yep.
a handful of agencies or?
Yes. Yep, they'll do criminal and non-criminal. They usually do about 5 or 6 agencies. Try to get around the state. I don't know how they pick them, but just kind of call us and say, this is who we're potentially going to, and then I let those agencies know and make the dates available. So, I try to go, so people aren't like me with the FBI questions, but yeah, so I take the 3 years up to the FBI coming to audit everybody, and then the FBI comes and audits, and then my cycle starts over of auditing agencies again, so. Okay, so privacy and security. So the access, use, handling, dissemination, and destruction of CRI are governed by state, federal rules, regulations, policies. There's some, we don't have local, but some do, but I don't, that's not me. You as the agency are responsible for the CRI and maintaining control from the moment it's birthed, basically, until it's destroyed. So the minute it hits your box, you are responsible for the protection of that until you destroy it in whatever way you're destroying it. Delete, delete. If you're storing electronically, there's the erase, degauss, burn in the fiery depths of hell, shredding, cross-shredding, a lot of questions about shredding. If you do print and store these, when you destroy them, the person that destroys them has to be on that list. So you can't, if you hire a company to do it, that's perfectly fine, but you're the one standing there going, you're not looking right, you're not looking right. And I say this because it has happened. You cannot take it to your bonfire and burn them. That is not okay. Yeah, I know the wow, right? Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, no, you're not. No, you're picking that up. They're like, what? Like, it's like, no, at the end of the year, we take them and we have, it's like, no, stop doing that. The cry that you're requesting can only be for the purpose that it's being requested. So if it's for insurance licensure, you guys have two that you can do, the production and the licensure. It has to be for the one. You can't then turn around and use it for the other. A new request would need to be done at that point. And in North Dakota, we do not allow outsourcing. So like I'm saying, you can't hire a company to go do this for you. You guys have to do it yourself. We don't allow companies to do it. You can hire somebody to shred, like I said, but you need to be standing there, basically making sure that they're not. So the policies and procedures that I say, like you have to have training annually for, these are the things that you need policies and procedures for. How you access them, how you're using them, how you handle it, the communication amongst, can you talk about it, can you not talk about it? Are you emailing it to somebody, are you not? Secondary dissemination, that is, you guys run somebody's report, you get the results, they want to see it. If you allow them to see it and take it with them, you have to document that. You do not have to allow that. It can be in your policies that you don't allow that to happen. Then you would just say, if you'd like to see your record, contact BCI. Because they have the right to see their record. You don't have to be the ones to show them. But if you let them leave with it, you must document that. There needs to be a policy on how you are preventing basically the misuse. So like the prevention, consequences, that's basically going to say, how are you making sure that people aren't misusing this and doing bad things with it, like taking it to a bonfire. The policy on how you are storing things. What is the physical security around that? Is it in a drawer? Is it locked? How are the keys maintained for the locks? And then who would have access to that? If there's digital security, same premise. It's stored online. How are you securing it? Is it password protected? How are you destroying it? The retention. All CRY must be maintained because of North Dakota laws for 3 years. Basically audit to audit is what I recommend. So if you get audited in June, but you don't get audited again until like the next 3 years, August, I wouldn't destroy them until after you've gone through that next audit. But it is required for 3 years in the state of North Dakota. An applicant has the right to challenge the record, must be in your policy. You need to come up with a reasonable amount of time for them to challenge it. What is reasonable? Hate to say it, it's totally up to you guys. So if you deny somebody based on their record and you say, hey, you have the right to go challenge your record, you have a week to do it. You have a month to do it. That needs to be in your policies. And then that the FBI applicant rights notification form that's going to come up is that you're presenting it. Needs to be. Oh, yeah.
I have a question. So we're just went over all these policies and you have kind of a little cheat sheet, but is there a sample for these policies?
No.
So
Not really. It's, some people have some, like you can talk to your cohorts and the reason we don't have one is because they're yours. We can't say, oh, you can do this. And then somebody else will go, well, ours doesn't say anything like that. And then they think they need to rewrite theirs. And the FBI, when they come to audit, they really don't care because it's your policies. There just needs to be something there. especially because a lot of it's based on our state laws as well as federal.
So if the person getting the BCI check requests a copy, can we charge for that? Or if they come to BCI and request a copy, do you guys charge for it?
I don't believe you can charge for it because they've already paid for it, right? For them to run it for you guys. They can come see it from us for free, but if they want to leave with it, it's a $15 fee for them to come to us to walk away with it.
So since they already paid us the fee to do the background check, we can't request?
I guess I've never been asked, like, I guess I'd have to look more into, I think that might be a fiscal, like, I don't know what the rules around whether you can or not, but I guess nobody has in the past because it was already processed, but those one. Yep, back there.
If somebody comes in and asks to look at their results from their background, we're allowed to let them do that if they stay in the office with us. But what if they're not agreeing to what is on there?
Right, then they have the right to challenge it, but then they need to.
But it's not on us to do that for them.
Nope, that is totally their responsibility to challenge that record. So if they say, that wasn't me, they can contact us, or they might end up having to contact the FBI, but they're gonna need a lot of stuff like court documents that say, oh, nope, that was dismissed, or that was never me, and we can look into some of that, like.
Especially if it was coming from a different state.
Then they probably have to go to that state, contact that state to figure out why it's wrong.
But we can't do that, or we shouldn't do that footwork for them. That should be done.
No, I would not, no, that would be on them, but they have the right to see it.
Okay.
But you don't have to show it. You could say, nope, go to DCI and ask them.
Okay.
So, somebody else? Got a question? No? Okay.
Just another point. So in our non-criminal justice agency guide, we do offer some guidance for these policies, but as Jeannie did say, we don't have sample policies. We recommend you reaching out to fellow schools or agencies to obtain those if you're looking at drafting.
So if someone kind of wanted to come to BCI and look at their results, we just send them down to you guys and what information do they need to have with them to show that we actually ran a check on them?
Oh, we wouldn't even based on that. They would just have to come to us and say they want to see their record. Yeah, they wouldn't have to say like, oh, so-and-so ran me and I want to see that. No, we would help them because we would have the state one that we could show them, and then we would direct them to the FBI because they'll have to submit fingerprints to the FBI to get the nationwide one.
So we would run a completely different
A new
record
background.
check. We can't show them the results we sent you. So they can request a personal review to come to the window for free, or they can, if they want to take it, as Jeannie said, they would fill out the form and have to pay the $15 to receive that or take that with them. And as for the FBI check, we would refer them to the FBI's website. I believe it's an $18 fee to obtain that.
Yep.
I had an applicant come in and do her own background check, and she said she went through the post office. Did it? Is that a thing?
Not that I'm aware of, but I mean, I wouldn't take it. I mean, I would run my own since you have the authority, like. I mean, did they go fill their wanted poster off? Like, no,
They requested a North Dakota check and the FBI check and then provided you with those results?
Yeah, but I still wouldn't be able to take that because we would have to do that. That's what I tried.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't trust that with a grain of salt, but I mean, I don't know of any post that like, because you have to have a certain level of federal authority as well as state authority to run one, and a post office wouldn't have that level of authority.
Yes, in the post office in Fargo, or would you send it to the FBI?
On their behalf.
Yeah.
but not for other people. I guess I don't know that.
Well, I shouldn't say that. Yeah, they can submit fingerprints for
an
applicant.
yeah. Yes, for their identity history, they can send but they're not actually requesting that.
Okay, so just to clarify, really anybody can go to BCI and say that they'd like to view their criminal record history. And so there's some applicants, it's a little sus, but they'll say like, I don't know if I'll get hired, like, should I apply because I've got something on my history? Like I could tell them, like, you can literally just go check your own history if you're that concerned about it. It still comes down to like a hiring decision, but they.
A lot of them are like, oh, I don't know if I'll think through. It's like, right there, you're looking at it and going, dude, do you want the job or not? Like, stop talking.
So many applicants don't know what their history is going to look like. There's so many applicants that are like, well, I might have something come up. And it's,
Well,
I didn't realize they could literally just come here. If you're that concerned about it, go see what's on your history.
Absolutely, absolutely. Plus, it's, a lot of people don't understand that what we house are fingerprint-based records.
Yeah.
So if, you know, Joe Schmo got a DUI 20 years ago and that officer said, we're just gonna write you up, it goes to the courts, DOT gets the results, but they never print you, it's not on this record.
When they come to request to look at their results, does it look the same as like what I would see? Do they pretty much the exact same pages? Okay.
But it's only a state record.
The state one, we're gonna give them here, yep. If they want the nationwide one, like if they have something in another state or a federal charge, the FBI would send them and it is going to look like what we give you, but it would have to come from the FBI.
And they can still view that all here, like
Not the FBI one.
they'll mail
the
it.
state one here, but if they send the information to the FBI will then send them their results.
Oh, like mail it to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we request those federal and state with fingerprints, you guys are getting those and then sending them to us, correct?
Yes.
So you're requesting that from FBI, you're getting it from FBI, and then you're sending it on to us.
Right.
But you don't house those in office or in-house. So if somebody wanted to come and check that kind of a result, you can only give them the North Dakota one, correct?
Right, because we'd have to be running a new one because we wouldn't be running it for the same purpose as you ran it. So we can't show them why you ran it. We'd show them why we're running it.
That's clear.
And there's a fee for the federal one then, because it has to be mailed to them?
The FBI charges like.
Yeah.
Is it 18? Yeah.
Okay.
So that doesn't have anything to do with us or like our process or anything. That's just, we refer them to that. And I don't know why probably like why we charge 15 is take somebody to run it and mail it and whatever,
But you'll help them with submitting a request to get their federal background?
we'll
if they
show them
want?
where they need to go.
Uh-huh.
Like they'll still have to go get printed and send all that stuff to the FBI. It's
Oh.
not going to be done through here.
Similar process to when we do like a pre-employment.
Yes.
They'll
They
go
have
do
to
their
go get
fingerprints,
printed,
but
fill out
instead
a
of,
form
but instead of sending that information to me, they're sending it like directly
to the FBI. Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
My question is more for the people that work at the school. If you have like the backgrounds are good for 5 years, is that how far you guys go back or is it the whole?
That is a policy that you guys have. And I know Carrie will cover this. Criminal history is as good as the minute it was just run, because it could have changed. I know when I worked in criminal processing, I ran, don't remember which order it was, I ran the state ones, and the FBI ran the next day, and whoop, they got arrested that night. So, I mean,
So
whoops.
for the schools here, do you guys run them every like 5 years? Do you guys read?
I don't know, any schools want to answer, like how often you run them, or what your recheck,
Or
or
is it
how far
just
back
like
you look? I don't know what anybody's policies here are.
Just for visa.
Right, BSEP, and just, like, if they've left employment and if it's been longer than a year and they're
It's okay.
returning, then we'll do a full background check again,
But if they get hired and they're there, you guys don't rerun if to see?
unless it's for, like, BSEP. They have different requirements.
Are you a BIE school?
We do BAE and state.
Yeah, so we're the same. So we have to do it every 5 years for every employee. And we just found that out. So we had to do like, how many? 20? Almost the whole, like, most of our staff, because they hadn't had one since they started working there. But for BIE, you have to do it every 5 years. And then they're doing the yearly audits now.
Yeah.
every year, so.
Head Start requires us to rerun them every 5 years.
I was gonna say, like, and that's a BSEP, like, that's their Head Start, so that's required. But I know some schools, they say, the teacher's licensing, they have to run them every, however, so we just base on that, you know, if they don't get their license again, they can't teach here again, you know, or, so that's totally your guys' policy. Sometimes school boards actually write the policy that says you have to run them this often, and, some of the small towns, you know, when Jim Bob got busted, you know, because then you feel like, well, let's run that again, you know.
So someone can get the info to get their FBI background check from you at BCI?
We would give them the location to go find it, yeah. Like, we don't have the forms here, but we can direct them to the website and where to go within the FBI.
And we will provide that link within this presentation too.
At the end, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can I make a clarification too? Sure. They don't necessarily have to come physically to the office here to get their North Dakota record check. I would suggest they maybe want to call ahead of time and we can advise them what they can do. If they can't make it to us, we can do what we call a personal review. They can fill out the form, they'd have to submit fingerprints.
Sure.
And do it that way. They don't necessarily have to physically come here to see their record. If they can't, we can still accommodate them if they want.
All right. We have fun yet? Okay, so the applicant identification, that is, do any of you guys use identity verification forms when you send somebody to get fingerprinted?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a fingerprint verification form where they have
Yep,
to
they
put like
give it to
their,
the,
yeah, they give it to the technician that's doing the fingerprint.
Yep. So that's what this is. So basically is what it is. It's a form that you guys can create. There's one kind of located on the Compact Council site. It's to ensure your guys' safety, that the applicant that you are sending somewhere to get fingerprinted is in fact the person that gets fingerprinted. They put that with fingerprint cards in to say like, yes, person taking prints, did check the ID of person being fingerprinted, check what they did, they sign it, they put it with the cards, and then give it back to you guys. This is not an auditable thing. This is a recommended thing for your guys' protection to know that, you know, Rebecca is applying for the job, but they have questionable background, so they send their sister, Tiffany. Tiffany has nothing. Tiffany's the one that gets fingerprinted, but Rebecca's name's all over everything. That record's going to come back clear. Had the person check the ID, we would have known that Rebecca was not the person actually getting. And then the protection of the fingerprint card. Again, not a requirement, but highly recommended that envelopes are included for you guys. So if you send them to the local sheriff to get fingerprinted, they would sign that verification form, put the cards in an envelope, seal it, and then they would get returned to you completely sealed. That way you know nothing was tampered with that card. Again, not an audit thing, it's not my issue. It's to protect you guys, that there is this plan out there that if you want to protect those cards, if you're doing fingerprinting yourself, not as big of an issue because you know. Here's an example of the form. They would, I guess they put the PC on, that's a new portion for me. But, show what they checked, they would sign, the person would sign, and they would put it with the cards or send it back to you, scan it. Another one. And this goes back to the applicant has the right to see it, their record. They can review it, but you need it in your policies that says you will, you won't, and will you let them take it with. And it could be under circumstances, like only if they were denied will we let them see it, only if, sure.
We get so many out-of-state IDs. Where's the best place to find examples of valid state ID?
Valid state IDs? The state would be the only place that I would know that would have a, like that individual state. Most DOTs have images that show whether it's a valid or not. Or you could require a passport Those are. That would be the only, I don't know the general actual like listed location to say this is what a North Dakota one should look like. This is what Montana uses as their security measures. I don't know a place like that. Somebody over here. Oh, wait, yep.
Okay, this might be like inaccurate hearsay, but I've heard that you don't, like, the fingerprint verification form is really not necessary if they're doing an electronic fingerprinting with a PCN, because I've been told that they always check an ID, so it's kind of like redundant.
Well, it's your faith. It's your faith. Do you have faith that they're doing that or not?
Is there any way to know if that's like, is that common?
I
know like the Capitol does every time I've been fingerprinted, but then I don't know if every single person that's ever doing the fingerprinting does that each time.
Therein lies the issue. If you have the form, you know they're doing it. Because John, is bored that day. I mean, Paul's back there. He doesn't check IDs. Just kidding, Paul, you probably do. But he's our fingerprint guy. But I mean, he always says, yeah, I check the ID, and we want to assume that when you go into a sheriff's office, that sheriff is in fact checking the ID before they're printing them, but you don't know that for sure. So is it redundant? Maybe, but it's to protect you, not the applicant. So, I mean, that's really what it's for. Paul?
To answer the one on the computer too, like if you're in question of a driver's license or something like that, maybe too, you can always ask for a second form of identification or something like that, because predominantly people should have a form of identification too.
Yeah.
If that's in question, I mean, that's another way to verify information.
Okay.
So the verification for the fingerprints, we send that copy to your agency. Do you scan the whole package?
We don't need that.
count?
That's for you.
Do you scan it though, or do you throw it away? Do you know?
I think they.
It does get
I think
scanned.
the defense's policies, if it comes with the packet, you scan it.
I was just curious.
Yeah, but that is for you, does not need to come with the packet. That is for you guys. We kind of went over challenging the record and reviewing of the record. Here's the contact information on this page of where they can go contact ECI or contact the FBI. If they want their own. So, Fry is a very protected. Okay.
When the FBI audited our agency in September 2023, he did ask to see all of our FBI verification forms just for his own information.
Verification forms? I don't even know what an FBI verification
I don't know
form
what
is.
the FB verification form.
Oh,
They
fingerprint.
mean
FP?
FB.
Oh, can whomever this is clarify what they're, because I don't know what that is. Because they don't even really have a.
Sorry, typo. Our fingerprint verification.
Okay. I mean, if you say you're using it, they might want to see it, but it's not an auditable thing. Sometimes they just like to see the process. Or are you, is it part of the packet? Like, our form includes privacy. They might include the fingerprint verification form that we're requiring to send with, but it's not actually auditable. But if you bring it up, they potentially will want to see anything, so.
Well, for instance, if you have policies that state that you use that fingerprint verification form, of course, they may then go down that rabbit hole and want to view them. So,
Yeah.
Are they getting a copy of these slides after?
yes, after next week's presentation, we will send them out.
Okay, so, you good? Yeah? Okay. The communication of CRY. CRY is protected. So you're not supposed to talk about it, you're not supposed to share it, it is not public. You have been granted a specific authority to receive this. So you don't want to, hey, guys who applied for a job here, you're at the local pub, like, chatting up, be like, oh my gosh, you'll never believe what's on Becky's record. Just nobody should even know you ran Becky's record, but definitely don't talk about it. Don't share it with each other. If you're going to discuss it, you, let's say in a superintendent, you're the hiring manager, superintendent, you need to ask, make sure that door's closed or that people within earshot are authorized. In fact, I would even make it more, even if they are authorized, try to keep that private. It's not necessarily shareable. You can't share it in any way that's not secure. So we email it through a secure email. Password encrypted? Password encrypted? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you are going to forward that on again to, like, let's say, like, I know some of the larger schools, again, let the principals decide. Again, it still has to be encrypted. You can't just send it through the email willy-nilly. If it's stored online or on your hard drive, it has to be password protected. It is a very secure thing. Yeah, it can't be discussed with anybody that's not authorized, and it can only be for the reason that you're running it. So if it's for licensure, you can't, again, say, well, I don't know, do you think they could do it for this? Like, let's try having them do this. Like, no, it's for that purpose only. And again, Becky at the bar, she's not going to be thrilled if you're talking about her record. Misuse of cry, that's basically you doing something with those results that you're not supposed to be doing. You're not securing them, you're sharing them with people that aren't authorized, you're talking about it, you're not storing it properly. I know there were many times I've answered the audit and they came through the mail and they'd sit on somebody's desk open, wide open, not secured in any sort of way. That would be a misuse. And that's why you sign that form and take the training. This also states that you can be dismissed from your job and can be fired or arrested. I think is it a misdemeanor?
Yep, so 1260-16.1 does state that any willful violation as defined in section 12.1.02.02 of any provisions of sections in 1260 relating to reporting or disseminating criminal history record information is Class A misdemeanor. But anything that is reported or disseminated.
Lost.
Yeah.
Don't they just, they're so smooth.
Yeah.
All right, do you want me to do the recap or do you want
Sure.
Sure.
So this is the fun part.
This is the fun part. You guys get to answer questions. Pop quiz. Okay, so what is the specific authority under which your agency receives crime? Bueller?
1260.
Right there.
1260, 61, 24.
And Public Law 92-504, the federal law that says the states can run them.
Good job.
There it is.
Oh.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
What does CRY stand for?
History record
Information.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Annie. I know there were lots of people that answered that one. So
Yeah,
I
there
don't
was. There was.
The answers
Yes.
are on here. You have the answers on here.
Don't,
A resident athlete.
Yeah.
no looking ahead.
Is CRY public information?
False.
False. For everybody in the back of the room. Good job. Paul, no.
You don't like it.
I'll clap at him later. Where is property and finance? Oh, somebody, or you read faster than I could. Was that Erica?
It was not.
No? Oh, back there? Okay. Yeah, that's where it's found on the background check. She answered it before I even read it.
Oh, she's
man.
good. She's
Yeah,
very good.
she's like, what type of checklist if an individual is a sex offender? What type of checklist?
Thank you, though.
If she said, boy, I should have read this
We both
before.
said it at the same time.
If there's a sex offender, What type of list checks if an individual is a sex offender in the state?
Background check, criminal history record check.
Good job.
Know the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't my deal, this is hers. I just work here.
Yeah.
Oh. How often does the user agreement need to be completed?
Once.
Or,
Changes.
yeah. I didn't know if anybody would throw it out, if they would cheat ahead, but what are the two things that required to conduct a fingerprint-based record check?
The criminal history record request form.
No, not the actual physical items, but what are those two things that were on that?
Like, what do you have to have before we'll even let you do
Authority
it?
and purpose.
Perfect, yep. Good job.
Good job.
Parlez-vous français? Who must every agent, entity designate to? Oh, well, okay. No.
Nah.
Knack, thank you. I was like, they can read. Right, educated. Who might the authorized personnel list contain?
So let's just go through.
Anyone?
IT personnel,
Yay or nay?
Yes.
human resource personnel,
Yes.
administrative staff that have access to CRI.
Yes.
How about administrative staff that don't have access to CRI?
Yes.
It's up to you. You can, but they aren't required. Janitor,
Only
If they have
access.
access to the
they have access. The NAC.
Yes.
Yeah, you make it sound obvious, but no, like, yeah, the NAC needs to be. Any questions before we take our break?
Okay, I am Carrie Klein, as Rebecca introduced. I've been with the department nearly 15 years. Okay, I know, I should be retired, I know. You don't even put it out. Carrie is our go-to historian for so many of us, so we would be lost without her. Fine, yeah. Okay, just.
There is some kind of feedback.
Oh, no.
It's the. Oh, something online is unmuted.
Oh.
I think it should be fine. As a reminder, anybody that is online, please mute yourself so that we don't get any feedback.
Okay. Now, fun part begins. Okay, non-criminal justice agency record check process. So, as mentioned before, that BCI, there's an agreement between your agency and BCI for us to do communication with the FBI to get you your criminal history record results, federal and or state record results. You submit a package to us, which includes the request form, the fingerprints, and the payment. As mentioned, it is just a point in time response. So as soon as it is released to you, it is out of date. Something can happen tonight that changes the record check. The responses are emailed to you via a secure email or an encrypted email, and it's emailed to that designated point of contact or the NAC. And the use of the results is limited to the sole purposes outlined in your statute. Your agency reviews the information and makes employment determinations, not BCI. You'd be surprised how many calls we get from people saying, I was denied my application. Can you tell me why? Sorry, we don't, you have to contact the agency that did the request on you. We need to visit with them. Okay, so the submission package. There is a request form. There is a separate form for the schools versus a form for the other agencies. They are two different forms. Please use the most recent form or we'll get sent back to you. I know there's an update that's going to be coming shortly.
Yeah, I did send that out this morning. One thing I will point out is that the change is fairly minor, so I don't expect your agencies to get that updated immediately. We will still accept the form. So if you take the next couple months to transition into that new form, that is perfectly acceptable.
Okay. Incomplete submission packets will be returned with a memo from us. Whether it's an incorrect payment, we have to have the exact amount. Unsigned forms, information on the fingerprint card that might be incomplete. So we will send that back with the memo. This is the memo that does get sent back and you check off what is missing. If nothing is missing there, we will try to write something, number 7 in other, designating or letting you know what we need, what information might be missing. So the request form. This is the school's request form. So of course, the information that needs to be completed is the requester information. There are times when we get forms where the requester information isn't filled out. We know it's come from an agency, but they haven't filled out the information for them that it's supposed to be returned to. So make sure your form is completed with the requester information. Then you need to designate whether you're doing a North Dakota record check only, a federal, or an FBI only, or a North Dakota and an FBI record check. There's a comments and miscellaneous section there under your contact information. Any notes you want to make or point out to us?
So usually, like if, for instance, the fingerprint card, a name might have not been, it is not reflecting what's on the CHR form. Sometimes we might get a note on there that we have verified this is their correct name, or maybe the date of birth or something that the agency has actually confirmed, verified, and they'll just put a little note. We understand, we know that this date of birth is incorrect. It should be this. So then we can update it on our end when we submit it to the FBI.
Okay, there is room for the process control number. That is if someone has done a live scan. In the upper right-hand corner of that fingerprint card is called that processing control number. That gets assigned when the fingerprints are taken by the technician and they have submitted that to us. The reason it's fingerprinted, of course, then also we should complete on the form here. Of course, it also should be on the fingerprint card itself. The reason fingerprint always needs to include your authority and the purpose and authority. Okay, then we need the information for the subject that the fingerprint or the record check is being done on, names, alias names, date of birth, social security number, and their current address. Record. So needs to be signed and dated as well.
So that second additional last names, the reason why we added it is because some people were putting the same name as in that first field where it said last name, first name, middle name. They're putting that in the second line down, and so that is only for aliases. If there are any known other aliases that individuals should need, that, whether it's married names, maiden names, they need to have those in there. So we just wanted to clarify that on the form.
It is the actual agency request form is basically the same information. As well.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So the agency name, contact person, individual being, record check is being done on, signature and the date, and the type of record check you are requesting.
So the only difference between the two forms is this one has that district, either the district number and county district. So those are the only different, that's the only difference between the two forms. Just wanted to make a comment on the signature. It can be typed, it can be handwritten, electronic signature, those are all acceptable legally. And then the only other comment I want to make is you do not need to send the authorization form with these two forms. You're when you are signing, you are authorizing us, correct, to run that, the fingerprint.
To run your criminal.
Yeah.
Right, it does not need to be a separate authorization form submitted with this request form. This form states that you have, the person is authorizing us to run the record check.
But if they ever did a public record check on themselves, they would have to submit that authorization form. Correct.
Not if we have somebody else. If I was running it on you, I'm giving you all the information, or you have to give me the authorization to run it on you. The FB, applicant privacy right number 2. The applicant must be notified in writing that fingerprints will be used to check the criminal history record. They must be informed that they are allowed to challenge the accuracy of their record. They must provide the applicant a reasonable period of time. And you need to establish what constitutes a reasonable period of time, as Jean mentioned. And they must be notified how to obtain their federal record as well. And all that information is on that second page of the form there. All there for them. So if they looked at the form and signed it, hopefully they've read the small print. They're acknowledging that they read the small print. I guess they are when they sign it. Okay. Criminal history record check payment. Law defines who pays for criminal history record checks. Must be in U.S. currency only, and the types of payment that we allow are checks, money orders, and interdepartmental billing. We are in the process of looking at ACH payments, so I will let Becky. Sorry. That.
So thank you all for the feedback you provided on the survey that was sent out. We are, as Carrie said, we are looking into offering another option for individuals that don't pay through IDB to pay through ACH. There are just some things that we have to make sure that we are capable to do within our system. So we are working on it. We will let you know when it's up and running. And then, yes, just like IDBs, for those that do IDBs, with each set of responses, we will send you like a summary page saying, this is the date, here are the individuals that checks were run on, and here's the total. So you will have that for your records. And then all ACH payments, you will be billed the first week of the month for the previous, for anyone that was previously ran, or anyone that was ran that previous month. So, so it kind of follows the same concept of all the IDB payments, but it would look just a little different on the memo. Either way, we will let you know once that is up and running. We're hoping in the next couple months, but we trust in that.
A couple of things. I had been using form 0688 when was just told last week I was using the wrong form. And it sent form 50744. Are you? Roxanne?
So it's like, are you a school or an agency? Because if you're a school, you need to use the school form. If you're an agency, you need to be using the agency form. Non-crim, they're doing a non-crim, so they probably use the agency form, and they could be using the non-crim form.
Because they're not an authorized agency.
State agency.
Just because you're a state agency doesn't automatically mean you're an authorized agency.
Well, it should mean like DES.
Oh, even.
Is this like Homeland Security, meaning like Adjutant General Emergency Services Homeland Security?
Dan, are you with?
Who you with?
Yeah.
Who are you, Roxanne?
So, so if you are a state agency that has not been granted authority through our state legislature and the FBI, the only form that you are allowed to use is our public request form. Adjutant General.
Yeah, so they should be still using the non-crim.
Go ahead.
So it says law defined who pays for it, so who can the employer pay for it, or can the potential employee, or what is the law on that?
Yep. Okay, so, so like border nursing, it's actually codified that the applicant would pay for it. In schools, it states that the school or board or the exact verbiage is. So it's actually written in code who can or should be paying for it. So what they're saying is like, basically, if you're applying for a school position, the school can't go and say, well, you have to pay for this yourself. It's actually written that the school has to pay for it.
So for those agencies that do have the applicant pay, some do have the applicant pay the agency, and the agency turns around and writes one check to us, just to make it clear. That's allowed.
Right, I think, is that what insurance does, is that, no? Oh, no, you guys attach the check, yeah.
It goes to the AG.
Teacher license, ESPB does it.
Department of Ag does too.
It does?
Department of Agriculture.
Oh, you guys do it too?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that's perfectly acceptable as long as the agency can't come back and say, no, you have to pay for this, when it's actually written somewhere that they're the ones who are supposed to pay for it.
One more question. When someone does a background check for private guardianship, is that needed to go to North Dakota Attorney General and not BCI?
Well, it should go to the agency. That'd be CDCU, right?
Yes,
That'd be you guys.
that would be us, yeah.
So they need to send that application information, that packet to CDCU at the Health and Human Services for that application, then they would send it to us at BCI.
just for clarification too, BCI is a department under the North Dakota Attorney General's office. So anything that has to do with criminal history record checks needs to come to BCI. However, for payment, we ask that all payments be made to the North Dakota Attorney General's office for financial purposes. And then for credit card payments, we do not offer that at this time. We are looking into this. So it's just something that is not on our immediate list. We're, like I said, trying to work on the ACH payment option first. And then hopefully down the road, our systems will allow us to utilize the credit card payment option as well.
So on those forms, do you have on there listed who they make the check payable to?
I thought they were on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know it's probably hidden because I think typically I always write on there who to write the check out to, right by the amount that they send, just because I don't see it anywhere. And a lot of times, sometimes they end up writing it.
It's in that first little
Yeah, it's in that
subtext.
first section.
Oh,
Where
of
it
the
has
instructions.
Instructions, one,
Okay.
two, that's still on the form.
Yes.
I know, so for those agencies that do have like ESPB, they have asked me to remove that make checks payable to the North Dakota Attorney General's office because it just confuses their applicants. So the applicants pay ESPB writes one check to us. And so I have modified that form or taken our original form and allowed for that sentence to be removed for them. We ask that you don't modify the forms, or if you're wanting to have that particular sentence removed, just check with me and I can send you that updated form. It's still the same one, still the same number. It's just revised for that purpose.
So of course, we have the capability to request just a North Dakota record check. Fingerprints are not required. We just use your name, date of birth, social security number to run those record checks. That's a $15 request. You can run just the FBI or the federal record check. There, the fingerprints are required. That is a $25 applicant fee or $23 for volunteers. Only schools qualify for volunteers. And then you can request both a North Dakota and an FBI record check, where again, fingerprints are required. That is a $40 fee per applicant with $38 for the volunteers. So this is just a little sample of the IDB memo that we do send along for the agencies that do pay with IDB. We will list, of course, the dates, the department, who the record checks were done on, and how many record checks were done, whether it's a state record checks that you did, federal and FBI, I mean, just an FBI or a North Dakota and federal record check. Fingerprint submission. So understanding the fingerprint process. So, using quality assurance procedures for applicant identity verification and fingerprint card tampering prevention, as Jeannie has gone over, comply with federal application privacy notification requirements. We're going to be properly filling out the fingerprint card and request form, assembling a fingerprint submission package, including proper payment, and interpreting state and federal results. He'll probably show you how to take what qualifies as good quality prints versus poor quality prints. So, where to be fingerprinted? If your agency does your own fingerprinting, of course, you can submit those fingerprints. If you want to learn how to do your own fingerprinting, instead of having to find somebody there's someplace to send this person to get fingerprinted, you can do your own fingerprinting. We will come and train you, or you can stay for Paul's presentation after this and learn some fingerprinting techniques. There's the option to buy a portable live scan machine, so you don't have to necessarily do ink prints either. Then, of course, there's other state agencies that if you know of an agency that does their own fingerprinting, you can send them to that agency. Hopefully you might want to contact them first, make arrangements for that. There's some state and local fingerprint services. I know in Mandan here, law enforcement no longer does fingerprinting for applicants. So we have some local companies that do fingerprinting. And of course, most other law enforcement agencies, police departments, and sheriff's offices do fingerprinting for applicants.
Do you have a list of the state agencies that do fingerprinting or not?
Sorry?
Do you have a list of the state agencies?
I do not, no.
No, we tried for a while to keep a list that it changed so often that we spent more time trying to update the list and send it to people. And in fact, not every law enforcement agency does it for public either. So you kind of just have to check with your local places to see if they'll even do it for other than prescribed people.
But your best bet is if there is another agency that has, for instance, a live scan or does ink prints, to reach out to them. Because they might not have the capacity to do it anyway, but you can always check. Yeah, so one thing that we are looking into doing, we've heard the concerns that there, especially in the Bismarck area, that there is not a lot of options for fingerprinting services. And so we have looked into purchasing our own live scan unit that we use for employment, our applicants at PCI. But we're also looking into purchasing a portable device, waiting on some grant funding for that. But then when that does go through, we would open it up to 126024 agencies to come to our office by appointment and get fingerprinted. So we will let you know when that does come more to fruition, but as of now, we don't have that option. We would likely do a couple agencies at a time and see how that goes. There would be certain days and times that the applicant would need to call us and set up an appointment.
Question. Have you looked at having like a specific vendor for the whole state to do prints? Because for producer licensing, I know other states have their, I guess, general through their state police that they have prints run so that it can be done electronically and uploaded so it isn't through the divisions. Have we ever thought about that? Or is that a possibility?
And I have kind of briefly talked about that, but no, we have not explored that option really any further at this point. We thought that this would be the first step, but yes, it would only be helpful for those individuals around the Bismarck-Mandan area. Unfortunately, we wouldn't have other pop-up sites throughout the state to offer that service at this time. But it's definitely something we would look into further.
Who fingerprints for the Board of Education and Board?
Do you send them to a specific place, or is it just where they can go that's available for nursing? Where do they go get fingerprinted? Do you just tell them to go wherever they can, or do you send them to a?
For Board of Nursing?
Yeah.
We have a list of people that, like agencies local and in Fargo.
Well, there, she has a list.
And then for if they're calling from another state, I just tell them to Google local fingerprinting agencies, and I usually don't get a call back saying they can't find anybody. But I've just compiled my own list of, I think, 3 or 4 people that do fingerprinting services here in Bismarck, Mandan, and then one or two in Fargo as well. I can certainly provide that if somebody wants it.
So the fingerprint card. Either you as the agency personnel can fill out the card or have the applicant fill out the card. But it's the agency, it's your responsibility to review all the information on that card to make sure all the information is there before you send it to us. As Jeannie mentioned, sometimes law enforcement will be sending from law enforcement. They will put that card in an envelope and seal that envelope. It's your responsibility to open up that envelope, look at the card, make sure all the required information is on that card. So the information that we need, of course, is names, the applicant's name, and aliases. Okay, we also need their signature. They must sign the card. We need the date that the fingerprints were taken, and we need some kind of signature, initial, name of the person that took the fingerprints. Then we need the demographic information, date of birth. One thing about the demographic information, lately I've been getting a number of cards. Eye and hair color. A B and a B does not tell me what your eye color is or your hair color is. Sorry. Are you blue, black, brown, blonde? I need more information. A B does not suffice. Granted, the FBI doesn't necessarily use that information they use the fingerprints to give you the information, but it is helpful information if those fingerprints are rejected and they have to, and you would have possibly the ability to do a name search. We send that demographic information to help narrow their search down as well. Yep. So in our non-criminal justice agency guide, it does have it listed out, like, the 3 letters, the codes of hair color, eye color. So if you do have questions on which one to use, please refer to that agency guide. Okay? Yes. So then we also, of course, that, sorry.
I'm sorry, Carrie. Okay, so is it proper then if I'm receiving the fingerprint cards from, they got it fingerprinted from another location, like they went to their local law enforcement or whatever, and they sent it to me, and it's got a bunch of blank, empty spots on it, is it okay for me to then fill in that information? Okay.
What I usually do when I get the requests that come to me, I will compare what's on the fingerprint card, what's filled out on the application. If I see something on the application that's not on the fingerprint card, like a name, an alias, I will write it on the fingerprint card. Sometimes there might even be an alias on the fingerprint card that the technician has entered, but it's not on the request form. So I will move that information and put it on the request form. I make my application and my fingerprint card match, so that you're getting the most accurate information.
The agency or the applicant can fill out that card, but it's the agency's responsibility to make sure that everything is on there before submitting it to us. Incomplete cards will get returned to you, or you will receive a call from our office.
I have a question.
Yes.
If that's a legal document, how can we add our own information on there?
What do you mean when you say it's a legal document?
Well, isn't a fingerprint card a legal official form? I mean, we couldn't sign it for the applicant, could we?
No.
But you're saying that we
But
could.
you filling it out would just be like the technician filling it out.
I do question though, similarly, if the technician then did not verify that information. So if I've gotten a card back and it just has the applicant's signature on it and like the technician's information, then I'm like, is it okay for me to just call the applicant and say, what's your eye color? What's your hair color? And I'm like, is it even you that showed up? You know, but that's totally fine to do that.
Because, but yeah, you are verifying with the applicant if there are empty spaces, what they are. And so you're not just putting in random things, you are verifying
I've
that.
gotten cards with no demographic information on it. Sorry, I need demographics. Yes,
But aren't, like, when they go to the police station, aren't they supposed to make sure they are filling that out? Speak to their training, and when they bring it back?
technically.
Paul, are they supposed to be doing that?
Yes, I mean, you should be completely filling stuff out. Obviously, I mean, yeah, stuff gets missed and,
And then they
Live
send
and
it
hand, it
back.
should be mandatory, those fields are.
right.
They shouldn't be a live hand. But ink one. And
Other information is the agency ORI. Your agency ORI needs to be on the fingerprint card. I know sometimes when they go to law enforcement, when those cards get printed, it prints the agency or the law enforcement's ORI on there. You need to cross that out and put your ORI. Okay? Then the other piece of information, of course, is the reason fingerprinted, the purpose and authority. Then a social security number on the fingerprint is not required, but we need to have it. Again, if it's on the request form, I transfer it to the fingerprint card. But they don't have to give it when they go to the agency.
Jeannie, can we just talk a little bit more? I know we touched on the purpose before, but just to bring it home, you guys need to be specific with the position. Am I correct in saying that?
If your population requires specificity, so schools, they have to put North Dakota Century Code 12624, the public law, and then you need to have like school bus driver, teacher,
Superintendent.
coach, licensure we talked about before, because they can run it on 2 different populations. CBCU, it has to say if it's foster care, if it's childcare, if it's whatever. So if you only run it on new applicants, it doesn't have to say like, for, secretary of, you can say employment for new applicant. Very few agencies have that. Most of them have specific populations that they need to run them on, and it's specified somewhere. So yeah, you can't just say job, or employment if you have those different populations. So we recommend being as specific as possible, because these guys will send it back. If it's a school that sends it in, it just says employment, most likely it will be sent back to you to say employment for what, because they require like specific.
question. What do you do when an applicant goes to the police station and does fingerprint cards, but when they come to me to mail it, the envelopes are sealed, but the police officer who did the fingerprint? How do we verify that the information is correct and all filled out?
You open the envelope and look at it.
You have to open that. Because it's sealed for your security, not for ours.
Okay.
Yes, it's their responsibility to open that envelope, pull out that fingerprint card, and make sure everything, all the required information is completed. Other questions you might have?
I would say some people, I know nursing does it, do you guys still do the stickers?
A lot.
Some people print off like stickers, I know insurance did it for a while, okay. So instead of having to like cross it off and handwrite, they actually put like, they have little stickers that they put on, or some have done stamps, but then they have to cover up what was written in there before. So they do these little stickers that just have the ORI with Board of Nursing, and is it RNPN, is it, or in schools can do like whatever, but then write in the position. So there are simpler ways, like more efficient. If you don't want to feel like you're crossing stuff off to fix it, you can pre-do these things hundreds at a time.
Pre-made label.
Yeah, the little,
Like a
very,
pre-made
label.
the little address labels.
Like address labels.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yep. That's what we recommend, because then it's consistent and you're doing it every time.
So when you do provide that fingerprint card, if you're providing a fingerprint card to your applicants, you can have that those fields, the ORI, the authority, the purpose, have those stickers on there if you want.
I would do it after.
Or after, excuse me.
Yeah, because sometimes when they print the card, that's the different ORI and then it gets all messy or whatever, so I would do it after, but.
Okay, here would be an example of, a inked rolled fingerprint card. So, we like to have the applicant submit when it's ink rolled 2 cards. Generally, when somebody gets inked by law enforcement, one card will generally be better than the other one. We will look at the cards and submit the best fingerprints to the FBI. So we do like to have 2. We only get one. We only get one. We ask, of course, always too, that you do not fold or bend the fingerprint cards, as it might distort the images and cause it to reject by the FBI. And then here is a digital or a live scan fingerprint card. The BCN up here on the upper right-hand corner is the number that gets assigned when those prints are taken. And generally, when someone is ink printed, there is an acknowledgement form that prints out as part of that submission. It will have the agency's ORI, the date printed, the reason fingerprinted. That can be sent in with your packet form as well.
Is it required?
No. We would only require it if you don't, there are some agencies that don't actually print the forms. You only get an acknowledgement statement. They don't actually print the fingerprint cards.
And some, from what I'm understanding, with some of the new live scans for the schools, they don't have printing capabilities altogether. So we would just need that process control number. So that's what will need to be put on, or be on that fingerprint card, as well as the HR form.
And on the form, we put in miscellaneous one. And stuff.
Well, on the form.
Okay.
Oh. So on the lead form, as Ginny was saying, you would need, on the reason fingerprinted, you would need the authority and the purpose or the position that you are, the applicant is applying for.
So if you don't have fingerprint cards, you just have the acknowledgement form, you should put your stickers on there.
The stickers, it's gonna print off with the correct ORI. They should have put the correct ORI in there.
And it usually just
But
has
on
the
that-
reason fingerprinted is like employment.
It'll say employment. So on your form that you're filling out in that, would you want it in the miscellaneous area?
Oh, and the criminal record request form.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
where you would put like, it's for licensure or school bus driver or, because it's not gonna be on that card when we pull it up.
So then when we go into,
We go to retrieve it.
when we retrieve the digital prints, we would make sure that the correct then is selected on our end before submitting it to the FBI. But so just make sure that reason is correct on the CHR form. Even if it's just says employment on the acknowledgement.
We get a lot of fingerprint cards that they're digital, so it's like through live scan, but then we don't get the acknowledgement form and there's no PCN.
Right.
And that's also completely acceptable, similar to like a ink rolled fingerprint card would be.
That just means it's not actually hooked up to our system. So they did it on a live scan machine, but it's not connected. So we still have to manually submit those. So yep, if that number's not up there, that's okay too. But it just means it's not connected to us.
Can we use that live scan I mean, I wasn't aware of that. It says that if you use the live scan and you have that acknowledgement form,
Yep.
they don't have to send in fingerprint cards?
So we would need that PCN number. So like it has to be a live scan that's like connected to our system. So like somebody from Florida, even if it's live scanned or ink rolled, we're not going to have direct access to those prints. So we would need the physical card. The only time that you can use just the form or just the PCN number is if it was scanned on a live scan system that's directly connected to our system. So then that PCN number would appear. But
If it doesn't have that PCN number, it's not a live scan, it's connected to our system.
to our system.
Do we have, how many states are connected to your system?
It would be only North Dakota.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just within North Dakota. So to purchase, to have live scan capabilities, you need to go through IDEMIA to purchase the device, and then sign a user agreement or contract with them.
They need to be on the state network.
And, yep,
Okay.
correct.
So like there's some law enforcement, DHHS has some sites, Highway Patrol,
There's some schools.
some schools have gone through this process. They would be able to do this process.
Okay, some reminders. Of course, both the applicant and the official taking the prints must always sign the fingerprint cards. The include the requested information on both the fingerprint card and the form. We do not require signatures when fingerprints are digitally taken via a live scan. We prefer they be signed, but if they're not, we're not going to return it because we assume, of course, again, individual taking the prints, check ID. The number in the corner of the print taken digitally is called the PCN or process control number, okay? It can be put on the actual form as well. Live scan sites can provide you that acknowledgement form, which can be submitted with or in lieu of the fingerprint card. You should always be prepared to print and mail a physical card if we're unable to retrieve the data for the print or to reject it.
So sometimes you guys have provided us PCN. And for whatever reason, when we type in that number, the prints don't show up. So that's when we would reach out to you and say we need to either submit fingerprints, new ones, or send in that physical card.
Okay. A, says what, if a digital card is ever printed on site, even with the PCM provided on the form, expects practice to have both the applicant and taker sign the card. So always have signatures on the card. Rechecks must include a new application and fingerprints, recheck. Yes, okay, I'm thinking of something else. Came to mind, must be the form and the prints for rechecks. Fingerprints should be less than a year old. Fingerprints were taken for one reason, they cannot be used for a different reason. They'll be used for what? Resubmission of fingerprints. When prints are rejected, agencies are allowed to submit a second set of prints at no additional charge. You need to retake, fingerprints must be retaken and a physical card must be provided in that circumstance. When these fingerprints are rejected, we need a new fingerprint card. We can't accept another live scan card. It's a live scan card, you need to actually print that card and send it to us. We need a card to scan. we need to connect that new card to the original transaction that we processed that rejected that first set of fingerprints. If we can't connect it to that, we have to charge again. So ordering fingerprint cards, you just contact us and we will get you new cards if you need any. All other agencies can order their fingerprints directly through the FBI. Of course, it is FBI, www.fbi.gov, and the form that you're looking for is FD 258. Your ORI can be printed on the card. You can request your ORI to be printed on the card or not. They come in boxes of 2,000. If you do not need a box of 2,000, hopefully if you put like a quantity of 200, that they don't interpret it as 200 boxes, that they would hopefully contact you, or I'm not sure if there's a way to put a comment.
I guess I haven't seen anybody have a problem, like when we put 1 or 2, they send us boxes. When people have put like 300, they've gotten 300 cards.
Okay.
Because I think they think who needs 300 cards. I mean, my goodness.
Right.
But you never know. It's the FBI.
Okay, so you mail or email your packets to us. Mailing address or the physical address. If you use any kind of express mail service to send your requests to us, please use the physical address. As express mail services can't deliver to a post office box. Agencies that can submit, there are a lot of agencies that submit their requests electronically, comes to an email address that we all have access to. We use those requests and process them that way. Agencies that pay via IDB are the ones that basically submit their live scans in an email to us, and we process them. Any questions that you have? Recap time. Woo! And you all know the answers already, I know. What needs to be included in the submission package to BCI for a record check? Anything, right?
Request form or
Payment and fingerprints. What is the cost of a state and federal record check?
$40. 38 for volunteers.
Very good.
Oh, listen here.
Where's the candy?
I already got something.
You already got
I
it?
already got a cup.
Okay.
Jen, you talk a little bit more about volunteers, and did we do that? Schools,
gonna ask about the volunteer, but yeah.
yeah, the way schools currently have
The authority.
the authority to do volunteer record checks.
You can run your volunteers, you're just not for the price. That's what we're trying to say.
Exactly,
Like,
sorry, yes.
No, I just thought I should clarify that. Like, if
Yes,
your
yes.
organization has volunteers, you can still run them if it's within the purview of your authority, but you
Can't.
only, right now, schools in the state of North Dakota
Get there.
get the discount through the FBI.
Oh, okay, oops, I'll check, so money orders must be paid, payable to. What put it, AG. One thing I guess I didn't, the payment. If none of those payment types that we mentioned, the personal checks, the, money orders, IDBs, if you have an applicant that none of those payments work for, please contact us and we will try to look at some other option for that person to get payment to us. We've had several people in Canada who can't get money orders for US currency. We've run into that several times, so please contact us and we will try to make or give them another option to make that work. Who must sign the fingerprint card when inked?
Applicant and the fingerprint official.
Very good. See, you guys are learning something, or you all knew this before, I'm sorry. You're not learning, you all knew this before. The digital fingerprint card units are connected to BC. All digital fingerprint units are connected to BCI. What number must be provided for all digital prints to be processed by BCI? Yeah. Okay, so what we just went over is not considered cry, okay? What we're going to go over now is considered cry. That's the results. So, this is what is regarded as, okay? This information is confidential information and cannot be part of a personnel file. We as BCI are the central repository for all CRI, that is criminal history record information. Fingerprints are used to establish the identity of that individual. And the arrest fingerprint card is usually the beginning of a criminal history record. There are some instances where it's not an arrest card. They were never fingerprinted when they were arrested, but when they were taken into custody, well, the jail fingerprinted them, so it's probably a custody card that could very well be the first record information. Custody records and arrest records are all part of the criminal history record information. And what is a reportable crime? That, of course, is included in Century Code 1260. All felony offenses should be fingerprinted for. Many misdemeanor offenses, violations of city ordinances, they can be fingerprinted for, and non-sufficient funds or no checks. This reportable information becomes part of a criminal history record information. Okay. It includes convictions regardless of how old our records are. Some of them are pretty old. You get all that information. There's no information redacted. Charges that have been dismissed, results in conviction, does not have a court disposition yet, so they haven't been to court. Audit code includes jail and custody records, other reportable events. You, as an agency, will receive the full record. There's no information that is redacted. What a criminal history record check will not include, it does not include, we do not keep juvenile records unless they were actually prosecuted as an adult. It does not include federal records. That should be part of the SPI response. It does not include records from other states. That, of course, again, should all be on the federal response. Our records do not include tribal records. So you possibly could contact tribe for that information. Most traffic offenses does not include civil judgments or credit history. I will touch maybe a little bit on traffic offenses. I know there are quite a few law enforcement agencies that consider DUIs, maybe even DUSs, no insurance. They consider those traffic offenses, so they don't necessarily fingerprint for them. We are trying to get them to understand that if you arrest somebody, please fingerprint them. Just something that might come to mind, especially for schools if they're hiring bus drivers. And this person has been arrested probably several times for DUIs. I don't know if you want that person driving a bus, but they were never fingerprinted for those, so you never see those DUIs. So just something to keep in mind.
What is even checked if it is a person under the age of 18?
They can submit a request to us. Again, more than likely there will be no record because we do not keep juvenile records. But if they are required to run a record check on this individual, they have to run it, but there will probably be, more than likely, will be nothing. They're gonna get no hit. So this is the no record, the North Dakota response, which is a no record, short and little sweet statement saying that there's no, that reveals there is no information available. It lists the name of the individual and their date of birth. It lists the, oh. Okay, sorry. Lists your agency, name and address, the attention that is filled out on the request form. Okay, and then if there is a North Dakota record, you get the actual rap sheet, that is record of arrest and prosecution. Does anybody, would anybody like to kind of go over the rap sheet? Or do you all understand? A rap sheet?
Like how to read one, like what the arrest prosecuted, everybody get that, or do you want her to go
Like,
specifically through?
Somewhat, but it seems like a lot of them are different. You know, like they seem like, it seems like they're not always in the same format, or they don't always have like the same information in there. Like they won't always say what the
Like ones from other states?
disposition is or something like that. I don't know.
The North
Yeah.
Dakota records should all be the same. Federal records, that will probably.
I'm probably thinking of the federal records that get a that get confusing.
Yes, it's very well can, because yes, different states keep the records differently. The federal, FBI usually does not keep any kind of prosecution information. You'll only get the arrest and the disposition information. Each state, yes, reports their information differently. They
Release
might,
their information differently.
yes.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
states won't release stuff, so then there's a different process, so then it looks different on that form, that response.
North Dakota
But yes, you're right, they
response,
look weird.
Yeah.
you might have to look at them and look at them again, yes. Our record has, of course, the demographic information, name, date, birth, social security number, all that demographic information that's on a fingerprint card comes over to us. It gets put on our records. So every time a fingerprint card is submitted, all the information that's on that fingerprint card gets put into our system. So if your weight and your height change, that new information is part of the record. It's not always the same. So then, of course, we have the different cycles. So anytime somebody is arrested and or taken into custody, each of those fingerprint cards is a separate cycle. So it can be multiple charges as part of a cycle. Each charge should be listed, and the information for that charge should be listed separately. You always get the actual, what they were actually arrested for. A prosecution shows what they were prosecuted for, and then the disposition is the outcome from a court on that record.
So each cycle is a different offense or different.
Not a different offense, it's a different fingerprint. Different arrest. Yes. You can be arrested for multiple charges at one point. For instance, this one here says charge, no, that's not a good one. Do I not even have one? This cycle here, cycle 5, says charge 1 of 2. So they were arrested for minor in possession here. And then also for minor in consumption was the second charge that they were arrested for during this cycle. Okay. Anybody have any other questions regarding a rap sheet? Then as part
Can
of,
I just add?
yes,
So, like,
certainly.
I would just say, if you get a response back, like a North Dakota one, where there is like a missing prosecution or missing disposition or something, just note that this department has done everything in their power to look, to find it. So either it hasn't happened yet, it's not available any longer, because it's too old of a charge, or it's not just, we sent it out because we didn't care. Like, there's a reason that it's not on that sheet. Then sometimes that's why some of those people will call and say, where's this response? Well, we're looking for missing information, because we will do everything in our power to get you the fullest and most complete, accurate record that we can possibly find.
Thank you.
What other states do, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
That FBI one comes, I don't know, but.
Yes, we have records out there that doesn't have a disposition on it, and it's from 1975. Oh my gosh, but folks, you don't have to run through to try to get that information, and then you don't, nobody has that information anyway, because it's all been destroyed. So sometimes it can be fun,
But we do it.
interesting, but we will always try to get you the most current and accurate information. There are times, yes, where the person even hasn't been to court yet. There's possibly a active warrant out for this person to show up for court. As part of our search, when we search the names, date of birth, and social security number that you have provided for us on the request form, our system also checks offender registration. And it will notify us if they find anything that might match and make us urge that we should then look at that record. If that person is in fact registered on the sex offender registration site or the Offender Against Children website, we will send you this letter saying that this person has been found on the registry. And you can go out to the registry and look. It will give you all kinds of detailed information, what the charge was when they were arrested, how long what their level is, how long they have to be registered. Please be advised or know that this is a public site. You can go and check on anybody. You can check on your neighbor. It's a public site. Everybody has access to it. If they think somebody it's a little suspicious, they can go out and check the offender registration site. So again, we are responsible for submitting those searches to the FBI. All FBI fingerprint results or searches are fingerprint-based. The FBI may not contain all state criminal history information. There are certain NSF checked offenses that are only part of a North Dakota record. The information, there was one point in time where NSFs, if you were arrested for an NSF, they only took your right index finger. Those records did not go to the FBI. The FBI only receives 10 prints. They do not put custody. We don't send them custody records, fingerprint cards either. One other thing that I want to mention here, if someone is arrested and fingerprinted, those fingerprints come to us. The FBI can also reject those arrest fingerprints as well, not just your applicant fingerprints. Those arrest cards, the fingerprints are on that arrest card, they can reject those as well. So it'll only be part of the North Dakota record. It won't be the record. So then the FBI response, there's three types of responses that you can get from the FBI. In non-identification, again, if there's no record of person, response you will get. The bottom of the page shows your ORI, that you're the requesting agency. And then if there is an identification, if they made an identification, they will send you, or we will get the rap sheet back that they have on their files. These are the fun ones to read. And of course, there is the FBI rejection. Probably 99% of the time is for low quality characteristic of those fingerprints. when it is a rejection, again, you have two submissions to make for the fee that you submitted initially. You will get this BCI memo indicating whether it's a first rejection or a second rejection. The rejection from the FBI may indicate, even though it's rejected, it may indicate that there are possible candidates found. Submit new fingerprints. If the second submission results in no record, you will get that response. If it results in another rejection, that is, the FBI basically says that is your response saying that there is no record. Unless that one of those two responses said that candidates were found. If one of those rejections does say that candidates were found, you can request a name search. It doesn't happen very often, but a name search can be requested. There is, so let's see, this is the form that we would fill out and get sent to the FBI to run that record request, or that name search, excuse me. And it will be stamped by the FBI whether there results or not. This says the name searches generally take up to 8 weeks, so it's not taking that long. I know one of my coworkers recently did a name search and it came back within a few hours. Name searches must be, though, you're going to request a name search if you're authorized, because one of those rejections did say candidates were found, it must be done within 90 days of that second rejection. Or the FBI will charge us to run that record request. Any questions for me?
I have a general question. So our practice is to try 4 fingerprint cards, 2 payments, and I was just wondering from the group here, does anybody else do that, or do you guys just do the 2, and if you pass, we're thinking of, submitting a change. Does anybody do 4? Just the first 2? Because that's an internal thing, I'm assuming.
Will be listed and found in other countries as well.
Everybody hear that question? So a little recap, list all categories of applicants included in the authority under which your agency requests and receives CRY. I have a trick question. Of course, it's referring to your purpose. Agency ORI, does everybody know their agency ORI?
92,
Have it automatically print on your form.
9242, 924002.
20920. C. During your agencies, does your agency have quality assurance process for verifying the identity of the applicant at the time of fingerprinting? We have a fingerprint verification form. Okay, what is the process for receiving the fingerprint cards prior to submitting them to BCI? Okay, are the prints legible? All the required demographic information on the card? Is it signed? Does it have to be a fingerprinted box on both the authority and the purpose listed? Prints legible. I'm going to go back, or not go back, but also mention, is the form legible? If the applicant has filled out the form, is that legible? Can we read their name and make sure that we're entering it correctly and their date of birth and social security number? What is your purpose when fingerprints are rejected? After 2 rejections, does your agency requesting name search? So again, only a name search can only be requested if one of those applicants were candidates. Must be done again, please. Back to audits.
All right, in the interest of brevity and the fact that we've kind of covered a lot of this, we're gonna, unless you guys want me to go slow. No, okay. So audits and compliance review. So there's 2 different kinds of audits. A routine audit, which is the one that I'm gonna do one every 3 years, everybody will get hit. Just a matter of when. I will let you know when that's happening. It's usually an email that comes out, and then if I don't hear back, I send an email saying, hey, check your spam. You probably missed this. A directed audit is if somebody kind of calls us and says, hey, did you know that so-and-so is doing this? And it could be a potential major issue. I might reach out and do like a directed audit to just say, let's make sure everybody's on the same page here. Again, the audits, it's not to get anybody in trouble. We don't want anybody in trouble. We're going to make sure everybody's doing everything right because we want you guys to have the results. We want to be able to run the results. If an audit is not completed or just refused to be done, we at BCI do have the authority to take away your right to get results. So, only done it once. Gee, I know it's so mean, it's so mean. Some of the things that I look for when I'm doing an audit is we check the user agreement, make sure we have authorized personnel files on, that the agency contact is still current and up to date, because if you're not getting the email, we're not completing the audit, and then I reach out and say, hey, why aren't we doing this? It's because you don't work there anymore. I'm going to review the policies and procedures and make sure everybody's done the training. Any questions about audits? I know, I'm sorry, it's complicated, I know.
So I'm just going to touch on the legislative process. Here's an overview of the process your agency must follow to conduct fingerprint-based record checks. Something that you're all already approved to do. This same process applies when you need to modify your section in code, the 126024, and your specific agency section of code. When requesting an update to your existing authority under 126024, the process is typically less involved on our end than the entirely new request, but still requires careful consideration. Just a few important reminders if you do plan on, if your agency does plan on modifying your section, please, before you submit the bill language or the draft bill language to Legislative Council, pass that through BCI, pass that through me. I'm going to review that language. I don't have we don't have a manual from the FBI saying that what is going to be approved and not, but I can base it off of previous approvals from the FBI, language that has what they're looking for. So please email me and give BCI a heads up prior to submitting more bill language. Final approval must come from both the state legislature and the FBI. So if you request to modify your authority, for instance, you are currently only authorized to conduct background checks, the fingerprint-based record checks on new applicants. But you also want to have them done on any applicant. You want to do rechecks every 5 years, or you want maybe them to be done during a disciplinary investigation. You need to request that your section of code be modified through the state legislature and then get that bill language submitted, approved, and then I would
then take that or submit that to the FBI along with other documentation that the FBI does require. You would never communicate directly with the FBI. That is all done through BCI. So. One thing I will say is be specific in your language. If you are thinking about modifying when drafting your purpose or categories of individuals, specificity is key. A recent example that the FBI denied was, I think it was DHHS's. They had emergency medical personnel. To the FBI, that is way too broad. You need specific categories, meaning when I talked to the agency, they clarified that the background checks would only be done on, or the record checks would only be done on EMTs, AEMTs, and paramedics. That's what the FBI wanted. So when they said that emergency medical personnel was too broad, that was the reason for the denial. And so now the agency needs to go back to the legislature during our next legislative session. As you know, our legislative body only meets twice a year, so that can definitely extend that.
Every other year.
Every other year, excuse me, every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Yes. So, so that just extends that, that process for that agency, and it's unfortunate. Unless there's a special session and they can get that bill language pushed through at that time or approved at that time, that's the only way that they would get it done before that 2-year period. See, just touching on the BCI initial access training, you've all received it. This is kind of just a recap of that training. This training does not take the place of agency internal training, and it does not take the place of CJIS online training. So just remember that. Those trainings need to be done annually. Getting assistance from BCI, each agency will have a designated BCI staff member for all requests and responses. Agencies will be notified when your BCI point of contact is out of the office for an extended period of time, so your requests aren't just sitting there in limbo. If it's a couple days, we do allow ourselves 7 to 10 business days to turn around those requests. Rarely does it take that long, but we build that into the process in the event something does, one of the staff members are out, or there are other extenuating circumstances that would prolong that process. Alternate CHR staff members will handle your agency's request during your point of contact's extended absence. The audit compliance team is available to address any questions related to the audit process or compliance requirements at any time. Contact me with questions related to the CHR process. Let's see. So here are some self-inspection questions that you can take back to your agency. As I said, we will be providing this presentation, but it's just, you've all been authorized to conduct these fingerprint-based record checks. And so these are just some reminders, like, do we have all these things in place? Do we need to review our processes? Do we need to update our policies? So just when you do receive this presentation, I highly encourage you to walk through all of these and determine if you have everything in place. It will definitely help when Jeannie comes out to audit or the FBI. It's just checks and balances, for sure. Here are some resources that we've touched on throughout the day. As I said, ordering fingerprint cards is the second one to the bottom. A personal FBI check is the last one. So if the applicant wants to receive their own FBI, this is the link that they would go to complete the necessary form and where to submit that information.
So this concludes the criminal history record check portion of today's presentation, or training. Are there any questions that have not been answered thus far? I do appreciate all your questions. They are helpful not only to us, but to other attendees. Thank you for that. All right, so we are going to be, and here's our contact information. If you ever do reach out to us, any one of us would be happy to.
For those of you guys left, I'm just going to go through some fingerprint basics here. Feel free to stop me if you guys have questions, any of that kind of stuff. So, why do we take fingerprints? What do you guys think? No wrong answers.
It's a way of identifying people.
Good, very good. Everybody hear that? It's a way of identifying people. Anything else?
Unique to you.
Very good. Unique to you. Good. Very good. Anything else you can think of?
Verify the person is who they say they are.
Very good. Right? So obviously I have a couple images up here. Good. Thank you guys for your participation. But obviously, we take prints for various amounts of reasons, but to protect people, whether we're in education, nursing boards, criminal justice agency, as a whole, I look at it as public safety, right? And we're helping positively identify people, keep accurate records of stuff. This picture on the right, probably not the clearest, right? So we're trying to get accurate information, clear records, and maintaining those records so that we can share them with other agencies as we're going forth. Applicant rights waiver. So if you guys are taking applicant prints, make sure you're handing this out. My understanding is the FBI audits us based upon this, but this is to protect you and your agency, lets the people know that you're fingerprinting, why you're taking their prints, outlines that, how this information is released. Again, a lot of the stuff we've talked through before too, but it's just gonna allow them to know why it's being released, where the information's going.
And this is that was on the second page of our form, of the CHR form. So it's not additional form that you need to provide, it's just on that second page of our CHR application.
And that's important for us, like we hand this out every time we do applicants, to make sure that they get a copy of this, they take that with them, whether it was sent in their packet or not, so. Sorry, I'm kind of hurrying through this, I want to respect you guys' time here too, so. Our principles of fingerprinting, so they follow some basic characteristics, guidelines, whatever you want to call it. They're made up of a series of ridges. So as you're going to see, fingerprints, our ridges are going to be your black images that it's pulling, or your black characteristics, and then the valleys are your white areas in between there. You're going to have unique characteristics. No two digits are alike, not even twins. There may be similarities and stuff like that, but as you're going through examples, we'll see some of that. Fingerprints don't change over time, but quality may be affected. Kind of compare it to a pair of shoes. They're going to wear down at certain points. You're going to have people, different trades and stuff like that, that either deal with a lot of paper, construction, that kind of stuff, welders. You're going to see different types of wearing and stuff like that. There are things that are going to affect them though. Aging, obviously injuries, skin diseases, that's going to have to be pretty significant injuries, but that kind of stuff can affect fingerprints. And then lastly here, they're systematically classified. So as we're moving into that, here's our general types of fingerprints that we're looking at. Majority of our fingerprints that we see are loops. We're looking kind of for the central area or our core, and then we have our whorls are second most popular, and then our arches are least. Okay, we talked through this a little bit, but our characteristics, so clear readable images is what I'm looking for. Our core, again, is that kind of center recurving loop that we're seeing in the middle, and then it kind of exits that same way. And then your loops, And your whorls are both going to have deltas as well. Your whorls are going to have multiple deltas on each side. So we'll get into that more as we're rolling prints, but we want to capture both those. And then your arches aren't going to have deltas. Different things that we're looking for as we're looking at fingerprints. So these characteristics are called minutia, and they're broken down, into different characteristics, whatever you want to call them here. So here's some of the examples of things we can see. Again, everyone's unique. They help us classify people. So again, this is why we say clarity and making sure we're taking quality prints, making sure that stuff is accessible is very important. Here's from the previous slide, but a lot of that stuff just labeled in what a rolled image looks like. Okay, then our applicant card. So as we're taking fingerprints, on the bottom there, we're going to take our slaps. So those are non-rolled images. We'll get into that here a little bit too. Your thumbs, those are all simultaneously taken. And then your middle 2 rows of fingerprints, going to be all your rolled images. Obviously, as much information as we can fill out above, we'd like more information rather than less information. So. Okay, our 2 ways of taking fingerprints. We can do ink fingerprints, make sure people's hands are clean and dry while we're taking ink fingerprints. And then the live scan is going to be pulling moisture secreted from your fingers. If you guys have seen live scans, taking fingerprints, that kind of stuff, or if you guys have people in your offices that do that. Live scan stuff too, we'll see examples going forward here. But if you notice people's hands are super dry, you might have to apply more pressure, use baby wipes, some of that kind of stuff, non-alcohol based wipes that are going to help out, kind of get some of that moisture that the screen's able to read. Likewise, if you're having people's hands that are moist or more damp, you can use paper towels, that kind of stuff, kind of dry them off a little bit. So I'm hurrying through stuff. Any questions here so far? Oh, good. Okay, press on. As we're recording fingerprints, some people have adjustable stations that they can use. The FBI recommends doing it at a general height, about a 90-degree angle for your person. So obviously that's going to be unique to each person that you're taking prints for. And then just have them relax and look away. That helps them not trying to assist you smudging, smearing, that kind of stuff. Make sense? Okay, good. So we talked about that. Our bottom row on the fingerprint card is going to be our planes, our slaps. And you can see those are not rolled images, but we're going to take those images simultaneously. So we're going to place the hand down, whether you're doing your thumb slaps or your fingers. Your left and right fingers are going to be your 4 fingers at the same time, at about a 45-degree angle. So that helps us identify, and then like you can see, we want those within the parameters of those boxes too. We're rolled impressions. Like to make sure we're getting at least this whole distal area, so down to where your first crease of your finger is. We can see that kind of on the image here, but we're rolling from the nail to the nail, so we're getting that whole image, whether you're taking ink fingerprints or on the live scan, that we're rolling that whole image. Why do you guys think we do that? Rather than just stopping fingerprints on there, why do you think we roll images? More detail? Okay. So we're getting more, generally I think the FBI says with each fingerprint, there's probably about 150 minutia points on average that it's trying to analyze. That's quite a few, right? But so if we're just dotting fingers on there, we're going to get less probability for data to analyze, right? So we're rolling fingers. This is going to come with applying smooth, moderate pressure. It's going to be a continuous motion. We don't want to piece images together, stuff like that, stop and start. If stuff smears, obviously in the live scan we can redo that, or in cards we can use correction tape, that kind of stuff to reprint those. We want clear, classifiable images. And then again, at the end, we're going to lift the finger up and away to avoid smearing. Here's what we're kind of looking for with a rolled image here in that bottom image. Okay, here's what a complete fingerprint card should look like. Obviously our applicant ones are going to be on the blue card, so you see everything is in those first two rows. On the top are going to be your square boxy images, and then your ones down below are your slaps. Those are your simultaneous ones. Okay, common issues that we see here too, so we'll just go through some cards that we see, some issues that what do you guys see here? Feel free to shout stuff out. I know we can obviously read the stuff, but what do you guys see with the images within those boxes?
Can't make out like the ridges or the valleys.
Good, good. Similar with the dark and the light, it's very hard to make out clarity, right? Whether it's too dark or obviously applying too much pressure, too much ink, that kind of stuff. So like we said, we can use paper towels, that kind of stuff to dry fingers out, some of that stuff, or too light or not applying enough pressure. Again, we're going to run into the same issue Gary talked about too, where we're getting fingerprints that are going to reject or not show up to the FBI, and we're not going to be able to add these charges to people's rap sheets. Again, the uneven distribution too, can make it patchy. It's kind of pulls your eye to certain areas and stuff like that, but you just want clear, classifiable images. So, good. We'll go through most of the stuff here coming up. But here I'm going to ask you guys as we're going through some of these, what do you guys think of these cards? What are things we can see? Good, bad, thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay.
Bad. Some incomplete rolls.
Incomplete rolls, very good.
Some are cut off.
Cut off, good. Yep.
And smudged, not centered.
Smudged, not centered, perfect. Good. So, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just
Okay,
can't see them.
perfect. Sorry. I'm a better door than the window, right? Perfect. So good. So you can see if we're analyzing this stuff, we want clear, classifiable images. A lot of the stuff, like you guys said, is cut off, overlapping, kind of pieced together too. So how about here? What do you see? This is our slaps, our left hand. What do you see there? Give you a hint. The direction's going in the same way.
Is one supposed to be for the right hand?
You're right. You're right. So they took the left hand twice, and it should be for the right hand. You're right. Very good. So that's why we tell people it's kind of one of our big keys for the 45s, also too. But yeah, so this one they took the left slaps twice. So good. Okay, a couple more here. What do we see? A mess, right? Finger painting, not fingerprinting. So this is what we see on our end when people are wiping down the live scan. So you have a screen here. I don't know if you guys have seen this stuff too. But if you're not wiping down the live scan screen in between prints, you're trying just to keep rolling, this is what we're going to get. It's just going to come in as a big mess on our end. You guys should be able to see this too on your end before you submit. But just be conscious that you're submitting good stuff. So, okay, our last one here. And you guys are off the hot seat, I promise. What do you see here?
Misaligned.
There you go. So yeah, just all over the board too. Just be conscious of what you're doing as we're taking prints, making sure we're not cutting stuff off, that we follow along. The live scan is pretty user-friendly too as you're going through stuff. Taking you along with where you're at. Similarly, your cards or labels and stuff like that. So if you need to, just take a second, slow down, just make sure you're submitting good quality stuff. So that's basically what I have for this portion. I have ink fingerprint setups up here as well. The live scan for you guys if you have or haven't seen it or want to come experiment, play around with stuff. If you guys have or haven't use it or just want to practice using it too in a controlled setting, feel free to do that. So that's all I have here. So pretty short and sweet, but.
Thank you all for attending. As I stated before, if you do require any clarification with any of the material discussed today, please feel free to reach out to our office. And again, we will be sending all this information out to you, so you will have it electronically in the next week or so. So, thank you.